Having the right temperature for your ball pythons can make or break you. So today's video is going to be all about the correct temperatures and how we can maintain them inside the enclosures. What's going on? So today's video, like I said, is all about the temperature. I'm going to go over the proper temperature, the ambient temperature, the hot temperature, the cool temperature, and the different ways we can maintain that. So if it's your first time to the channel, listen, welcome. We're new, we're picking up steam. So if you haven't already done so, please like, subscribe, comment, hit me up on Instagram, blue_line_morphs. I'm always going to answer you guys. I take a lot of time out of the day to answer a lot of people. I'll always be there. So let's jump right into it. First and foremost, our ball pythons, they're African snakes, right? They're from the West and Central Africa. It is hot. We've all heard this saying, it's hot as Africa in here. It's hot, all right? They like it hot. It's going to be hot in the enclosures. Get over it. It is what it is. It's hot and humid in Africa, and that's where they're from. So now if you scour the internet and you look all over, you're going to come up with a multitude of different answers for what the correct temperature can be. So I'm going to tell you what I have my thermostat set at. I have them set about 93, 94 degrees, okay? Now that is your hot spot, if you will. Now inside the enclosure, you're going to have an ambient temperature, a cool temperature, and the hot spot, the basking spot, okay? So in my basking spot, I have it about 93, 94, 92 degrees, depending on honestly, depending on how I hit the knob. I've read anywhere between 88 to 96 degrees is good. I guess that really depends on your ambient temperature. And the ambient temperature should always be around 82 degrees, okay? Now, the difference between your ambient and your hot spot, your basking spot, is the hot spot is they're cold-blooded animals. These animals want to go warm up, and the hot spot is where they bask and soak in that warmth, okay? That's where it should be the hottest. However, the air, the natural air inside the tank should always be around 82 degrees. Now, there is going to be a cold spot in the tank, and that cold spot can maybe drop to, can drop a little bit more. However, you should not have your snakes in a temperature lower than 77 degrees. Let's just reiterate this, guys. Anywhere between 88 to 96 degrees is arguably the internet and the experts' proper temperature gauge for these ball pythons in the hot zone. Now, the ambient should be maybe low 80s, mid 80s. That's the lowest you should really get. You don't want to drop it anywhere below 77, 70, 76 degrees. That's just way too cold for these snakes. So hot spot, 88 to 95. Ambient, low 80s. Anything below 78, we have a problem, okay? So a lot of people like to drop the temperatures of their snakes at night, right? I guess to simulate the day and the night. I don't do this. However, there are some people that put their thermostats, and some of the thermostats actually come with a setting where you can alter, you can change. My dog's throwing toys at me. Get out of here, honey. You see him filming? Sorry. Anyway, so a lot of thermostats have a setting. Honey, go lay down. Don't eyeball me. A lot of thermostats have a setting where you can adjust it where for the first 12 hours of the day or the first 10 hours of the day, it's 95 degrees, 93 degrees, and then it can drop down to, 89, 90 degrees at nighttime to simulate the nighttime. I don't see why you need to do that. These snakes can self-regulate their own temperature, right? They can go from the hot spot to the cold spot, so forth and so on. Now, when it comes to breeding, I haven't done this. I know a lot of people, advocates, are not doing it. They don't do it, but they change the temperatures for breeding season. Now, I spoke to my buddy Saul, Saul's Balls, Instagram, YouTube. Go check him out, absolute gentleman. He changes his temperatures. So I'm going to run down, I got to look at my cheat sheet here. I'm going to run down how he does his temperatures for breeding season, just in case maybe it'll help one of you guys, or maybe you guys can comment, see what you guys think. Okay, so this is what Saul does, Saul's Balls. Daytime for breeding season to kind of kickstart, essentially the idea of dropping the temperature for breeding season is it kickstarts the snakes into tricking them thinking it's a seasonal drop for when they're supposed to breed, right? So if we maintain a certain temperature all year long, these snakes don't really understand the different seasons. Now, if these snakes have a breeding season, right? Arguably November through the spring, right? This is when they start locking, they start doing their thing. So by lowering the temperatures, you're essentially tricking the snake into thinking it's that fall time, that it's good to go for them. It's time to hook up with the ladies, if you will. So this is what Saul does. In the daytime, he sets it to 88 degrees, and at night, he drops to 85. He does that September through March to try to kickstart these snakes, and again, thinking it's breeding season. Now, once March hits, and ovulation starts setting in, around right now, right? What is it, March 4th, March 5th? he jumps it up to about 91 to 93 degrees, okay? So if you're going to change your temperatures to try to kickstart them for breeding, you want to do that between March and September to March. You want to drop it to 88 in the daytime, 85 in the nighttime. And then once around March hits, they start ovulating, let's bump those temperatures back up to just below normal, okay? So those are your temperatures for your snakes and how it can affect their breeding and how you can kick them into breeding. Now, there's three main ways that you can maintain these temperatures inside of the tub, okay? The first part is the old school way. This is what I've been doing since I was a kid, right? You had the iguana, you had the bearded dragon, you had the tree frogs, whatever you had the heat lamp on top, okay? Real simple. It goes on top, it emits heat, and sometimes you can pay a little more for the ceramic, I guess, what the hell do you call this? Lamp, I guess. And this will actually cone the heat down. Now, the problem with this is, if it's daytime, if you have one bulb, right, that's shining bright, what about at nighttime? How's your snake going to keep the temperature up to date, up to par at nighttime? And the simple answer is this: they actually make two different lamps, right? They have one that emits regular light that we're used to, fluorescent light, and they have one that's actually like your night bulb. It's a little purple. Looks like a night light, right? Old school 70s night light, right? That's what it looks like. It looks purple. They both emit heat. Now, you can put them on a timer as well. You can hook them into a little sensor. They put two prongs in, and that you can have it switch 12 on, 12 off. That's old school. That's cool. If you're using an aquarium, a glass tank, it might work well for you. You might like that to light up the tank a little bit. That's totally on you. As long as you use one of these. This is a heat gun. You can get this heat gun online for Amazon for, I don't know, 10, 15 bucks. It has a little digital screen on it right here. Batteries actually just died on me, of course. But it has a little digital screen on it. You point, you shoot, right? Trigger control, always, guys, right? You point, you shoot, and it tells you the temperatures. That's how you can monitor the temperature when you're using the different things. You can use this for all of them. But when you're using the lamps, you want to monitor the temperature inside by one of these. Make sure you get one of these. The second way you can do it is these heat pads. All right? I guess, Zoo Med makes them. They're relatively cheap. They come in little sizes, big sizes, all the way up to ones that are about this big. So I like these heat pads. They're really good for sticking on the bottom of the enclosure, okay? Now, I actually have one in my boas tank right here. It's in between this size and the smaller one I showed you. Works really well with her. I have that cheap, turf. Where's she going? I have that cheap turf carpet on the bottom. Maintains temperature pretty well for the boa, okay? Not bad. Here's a full disclosure, the good and the bad. I had this exact heat pad in a 32-quart tub with holes in it. I had my killer Enchi pied female in it. Didn't think much about it. A lot of condensation, a lot of humidity because this heat pad's just sitting there. It's cranking the water. Okay, so a lot of water in there. So what happened is, because the snake wanted to get cool, I guess away from the water, whatever the case may be, she sat on top of this thing. Now, I only had unprinted newspaper in there, and it burnt her belly. Okay, wasn't bad. I actually reached out to a few people, Redline, Porter, Saul. I really reached out to all you guys to ask how bad this was, what can I do? And I probably should have did a video on it, but I didn't. You can get Betaline, a couple other things from your local CVS, local pharmacy. You can soak them in, baths and so forth and so on. You can spray them with Neosporin. I did this. Her neck shed, belly is full white, and she's good to go. So that's the only negative with the heat pad. Now I'm going to show you. Now, the other way you can do this is if you're in a rack system. A lot of you guys probably use rack systems. You're unfamiliar with a rack system. This is what a rack system is, okay? That's a rack. That's my purple teddy bear growing up. Don't make fun of me. That's what a rack system is, all right, guys? Now, this is what the heat tape looks like. That's hooked up to a thermometer. A thermostat. That runs through the entire rack system. Depending on how big your rack system is, it runs through the whole thing. It S's through it, and that's how you maintain the temperature in your tubs. So you essentially hook up the thermostat to that. It runs through, and it's called belly heat. Now, they also have the same type of thing for rack system, but they have back heat. So it's a giant version of that heat tape, runs through the whole back. Now, when you hook it up to the thermostat like you saw, it comes with a probe. That probe is a little piece of, I don't want to take it out, it's all taped up, is a little piece of metal that you stick, and that'll tell the thermostat if it needs to heat up the heat tape more or less. See, I put that directly on the heat tape inside, not inside the tub. I tape it to the actual heat tape, and I measure that about 98 degrees, and then I use my heat gun to check the temperature inside of the tub. You don't want to say, hey, okay, you know what, my thermostat says reading 92, I'm good to go. Negative, okay? Because if you have that probe on the heat tape, and the heat tape's 92, that tub will not be 92. Use this to maintain it. Now, depending on the size of your rack system, the temperatures will vary. So watch that and maintain that. Now, the good thing about a rack system, it also provides the right humidity if your temperature up to par. All right, so that's the quick rundown, guys, of the 3 different ways you really can maintain this heat. You got the above lamps if you're in an aquarium. You got the heat pads. Just be careful with them. Oh, backtrack with the heat pads. The reason why she got burnt, it was left unchecked, right? I just had a heat pad plugged in. That thing's just getting hot, 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 cold, whatever the case may be. You need a thermostat hooked up to the heat pad also if you're going to use it, okay? You got to do some wire splicing, cut it up. You're better off just using the belly heat with the rack system, to be honest with you. All 3 of these things, make sure you get a heat temperature gun. Make sure it's good to go, okay? So to reiterate, anywhere between 88 to 96 degrees for your hot zone. Your ambient should be like mid-80s, okay? You don't want to drop below high 70s. Some people change it daytime and nighttime to simulate day and night. You don't have to. I don't do it. Breeding season, like my buddy Saul, you drop the temperature up and down, no big deal. Now, the reason why the temperature is so important is if the temperature is off with your bull pythons, it might cause them not to eat, okay? And that's huge. To begin with, they're picky eaters. You don't want to give them any more reasons for not to eat any food, okay, guys? Now, the second thing is breeding season. If they're not having the proper temperatures, they might not kickstart into gear, right? They might not be ready to go. The temperature will throw your snake off for eating, for breeding, and the overall well-being of your snake, okay? They are African snakes. Make sure you maintain the proper temperature. That's it. Get the heat gun. I recommend using the rack system. Get your heat gun, monitor your temperatures, make sure your snakes are good to go. All right, guys, like, comment, let me know what you guys think. Hit me on my Instagram. As always, I appreciate it. That's it. So, as always, be safe. Remember, always watch your 6.